everyone, and welcome. This is Alexis Neely, and it is so great to see all of you here to introduce you to my good friend and someone who has done incredible work for me in my business, Marisa Murgatroyd. And I am just really bowled over by how many of you registered for the call today about how to translate your big vision into a compelling message and magnetic brand to give you more clarity, income, and freedom in your business in 2013. And that's exactly what you're going to be learning. You're going to see the exact process that Marisa used to help me re-engineer my business in my lawyer business, a business that you may or may not have seen before, but it's the other business that I am involved in. It's called New Law Business Model. And before working with Marisa, we had a lot of great things going on, but it was very helter-skelter. It was lots of different websites, lots of different landing pages. There really wasn't a unified theme. There wasn't a unified brand. And there definitely wasn't a unified home for us on the web where we could share our message with the world and generate leads and then build a relationship with those leads so that they would turn into clients. After working with Marisa, using the process that you're going to be hearing about today, we were able to build a brand. It's called Law Business Mentors, and a website that was a true, authentic reflection of us, of our message for the world, and that is right now, today, bringing in the business. And that's exactly what Marisa is going to be sharing with you as well, is how you can do that exact same thing in your business and take whatever you've got going on out there and consolidate it into a compelling message and a magnetic brand that is going to bring in the business that you know that you want. That's why you're here with us today. So I'm so glad that you're here. And Marisa, thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you've done in my New Law Business Model business and for sharing this with our Eyes Wide Open Life audience today.
You're welcome, Alexis. I'm really excited to be here because I love to see you, several months down the line after we launched your platform and everything that you're doing with it, and to really see it come to life and for you to breathe your life into it with your words, with your content and all of that, and to start getting the results. So thanks so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. And what I want to do is actually start with something that I never start webinars with, and it's a joke because I'm really bad at telling jokes, but stop me if you've heard this one before, So two websites walk into a bar, right? And the first website, Steve, he's kind of got it going on. He instantly gets all the booze and all the women. People just bring him drinks, It's like he magnetizes everyone around him. And the second website, Larry, he walks into the bar, he waves his hands around, he kind of screams for attention, but the bartender doesn't even come by. He doesn't even get a drink, and he's willing to pay for it, right? So let me ask you a question. What's our first website, Steve, doing that the second website, Larry, just isn't doing? So first of all, Steve understands exactly what he needs to do to beat the odds. And let me show you what I mean for a second. There are 2.4 billion people online. And that's really, really good news because no matter whether you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a lawyer, a doctor, a healer, a journalist, a photographer, it doesn't really matter because regardless of your niche, the people that you want to serve are online, and they're online in droves. So you've never had a bigger opportunity to find your audience, to really connect with them in a deep way, and to build an entire business doing what you love, right? But here's the rub. And let's get real for a second here and take a look at what you're up against. There are also 634 million other websites online, and another 51 million new sites appearing each and every day. And the vast majority of those sites are like Larry, and they're never going to turn a profit. So let me ask you, why is that? So here's the thing. In this super crowded space where everyone's like on caffeine and has 20 million tabs open at the same time, they've got ADD, right? And so you only have 3 seconds. You've got 3 seconds to really captivate them, to get their attention, to wow them, or 3 seconds to just send them away if you haven't grabbed them. So the real rule of thumb here is that you're always 1 click away. That's 1 click away from someone leaving, hitting the back button, saying goodbye, and going into oblivion, because if you haven't gotten their email address, they're lost to you. The vast majority of website visits are unique visits. They're people who come once and never come again if you haven't grabbed their attention and captured them. But you're also one click away from success. You're one click away from that read more, get instant access button as well, you know? And that person, you never know who they're going to be. They could turn into your biggest fan. They could turn into your top client. They could turn into new partners and new opportunities. So what I want to do here is show you how to master those 3 seconds, because Steve gets this. Steve understands that he has just 3 to 7 seconds to make a first impression, and he knows exactly what to do in those 3 to 7 seconds to not convince but inspire his audience to keep reading, to click through, and best of all, to sign up for his list. So more about that later. So before we go into that, before I show you how to master those 3 seconds, I want to know how many of you are like, and how many of you are like Steve, our popular website, who's kind of got it going on. So take a minute and type into the questions box whether you're Larry or you're like Steve. And by the way, we'll be using this questions box throughout the presentation today. So if I ask a question or if you've got a question, just type it into that questions box and I'm going to be able to see it, okay? So I'll see your answers and on the call today too. And she'll take care of you if you've got any kind of technical challenges or anything else. So just take a moment right now and type into the questions box and let me know if you're like Larry, if you're like Steve, so I can get a pulse of who's on the call today. All right, so I see a few different Larrys. Kind of a lot of people say they're like Larry. And, you know, Will says he's got no website. And I also see one, and Honor also said she's like Larry. And I see one person who says they're like Steve. So congratulations, Jill, you've got it going on. You're just like Steve. And, you know, there's still going to be a lot you can get out of this presentation. But if you're like Steve, you've got a website that you love, a website that brings in subscribers and followers and customers every single day. And if you're like Larry, well then either you don't have a website, or you have a website you're embarrassed about, or you have a website that just sits there without getting any kind of results for your business. So what I'd like to do today is to show you all how to be like Steve, you know? How to have that website you love, but also a website that's going to get you results and perform every single day. So on this webinar, I'm going to give you some really amazing, really potent tools that are going to change everything you do and how you look at your business and really transform the work that you're doing on a daily basis, you know? So you're not doing the busy work, the work that's not getting results, but you're really focused on the important stuff. You know, the stuff that's going to help you send the right message to your tribe about what you do, really helping you attract the right people, you know, the kind of people who respect your time and your skills and are willing to pay for it. You know, the work that's going to show you how to position yourself in the most effective way so you can actually charge what you're worth, and how to create a unique and really authentic brand, a web presence that's going to allow thousands of people to find you, to follow you, and to connect with you in a deep way. But first of all, I want to tell you how I went from being Larry to being Steve, okay? So in 2009, I started my first company, Be Seen Boldly. And at the time, I was just like Larry. You know, I thought if I just have a website, if I just offer my stuff, I'm officially going to be in business, and people are just going to start hiring me. But as it turned out, nothing could be farther from the truth, right? I was working like 14 hours a day some days between the client work, between building my site, social media, blogging, the networking. I was doing everything I could to try to make it work, you know, everything the experts told me to do. But I felt stuck, you know, I felt like I was going nowhere fast because I didn't love my business name, and I wondered if I was in the wrong niche. But I didn't really have the clarity to figure out what the real message was, what my message for the world was. So I was so embarrassed about my website that I avoided giving out business cards because I didn't want anyone to go and then check me out afterwards and see that my website was a wreck and I didn't have anything in place. So I didn't put my effort into the marketing, you know, marketing energies and campaigns and things that were really going to get me out there in a massive way because I didn't want to put my energy behind the wrong thing. So of course I was attracting the wrong clients. You know, people who complained about my prices, who didn't appreciate me or respect my expertise, despite all the experience, like the 8 years of experience that I had working for major agencies on big projects for like organizations like the Getty Museum and PBS and UCLA in the state of California. So I was getting discouraged because the work I was doing wasn't getting me the attention I deserved or the impact that I craved. And I knew that I had a big message for the world. I knew I could help a lot of people, but I just couldn't figure out how to get it out there on a massive scale. And worst of all, I didn't feel like I could change my business strategy, my business name, my website, because I'd spent so much time and money already building what I had. And I'd even invested in a well-known coach. I spent $20,000 on this coach, and he just told me to keep doing what I was already doing. So I just found myself digging deeper and deeper into a hole. And I want to check in with you guys for a second. Is anyone here experiencing anything like this? Do you feel this in your business right now? Just let me know in the question box so I can, check in with what you're up to and what's going on with you in your business right now. So I see Shari say yes. So let's see. Let me know if this is you right now. Okay, I get some yeppers from Travis and from John and from Escher. So it sounds like a lot of you know what I'm talking about, right? So a lot of yeses coming in. Something has to give, right? Something had to give for me. And what changed everything for me was a conversation with a friend, right? And when I say conversation, it was more of a business intervention, like the HBO show, full on. So my friend sat me down and he said, look, Marisa, you're not Be Seen Boldly. This brand, this website, it doesn't reflect who you are and what you really do for people. It's holding you back. And I kind of fought with him because I didn't really want to admit it. I'd already invested and sunk so much time and energy and money into this business that I really felt like I couldn't change it. But at the same time, I'd hit a ceiling. So I knew that what he said was true. And he knew it too. He kind of saw through me. He said, settling for what you have, it's just not an option. It's keeping you from having the success that you deserve. And it's keeping you from really reaching the people that you want to help. You're better than this, and your brand needs to show that. Talk about tough love. But he was right. I realized I didn't want to waste any more time running myself into the ground trying to stick Band-Aids on a business that was broken, and I knew I had to figure it out. So here's what I did. I stopped taking clients. I cleared my schedule for 3 months, and I took a step back to work on myself and my business. And it was thanks to that work on myself, thanks to that work on my message, that everything started to change. It's like it clicked in a way that it never had before. So I rebranded myself as Live Your Message and launched the website that you see today. So during 2011, that very first year, it started to explode. And the very first indication was that I was able to raise my rates for every new client I brought in. So starting at less than $10,000 in 2011 to over $20,000 today. And now I can ask for and really get $5,000 a day just for my consulting. So based on what I learned, reinventing the messages and the web platforms and the brands of thought leaders like you, Alexis, thought leaders like Don Crowther and Morgana Ray and Michelle Schubnell and Evan Marquez, I was able to craft my signature program and welcome 100 new students into it just last year. So even better, I've been able to expand my team, bring on Deborah, my online business manager, who's here working in the background, answering all of your questions and supporting you. And she's also tracking your questions. So if you've got something you want to ask me, she'll take note of it and make sure to ask me at the end of the call. So I want to answer all of your questions here today. So I've brought on Jamie, my social media, my researcher, and Sophia, my social media manager, and Murray, my copywriter. So this has really been an amazing process, and now I'm able to touch the lives of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people in a really meaningful way. It's like this big vision that I had for myself finally happened, and I've been able to explode my income. So the very first year after reinventing my message and my brand as Live Your Message, I tripled my income from $58,000 to $176,000. And this year I'm on track to at least double it again, if not triple it, to anywhere between $3 million and $5 million. And of course the money is nice. It's allowed us to really live and run our businesses all over the world, from places like Thailand and Bali and now New Orleans. But most importantly, that lifestyle gives us the juice and the fuel to just dream bigger and support you guys more. And what's more important than that is that now I'm free to really do the amazing work that I've got in the world. The work helping thousands of people to translate and distill their big vision for their business into a powerful, really evocative message that their audience understands and wants to be a part of, and to build all of the web systems that you need to get out there on a massive scale. So I think a lot of you here on the call would agree with me. If I asked you what you wanted out of this webinar, you'd say that you want to make a difference. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurship is going these days, what a lot of entrepreneurs want. I mean, Steve Jobs said it best. He said, I'm here to make a dent in the universe. And I believe that. So this is my way to make a dent, through supporting you all, entrepreneurs and small business owners, empowering you to build that leading brand, to have that lucrative web platform that's allowing you to be successful, amazingly successful, doing what you love. And it's because of that that I'm delivering this training to you today. And because of that, that I really want to make it clear that this is a different kind of webinar. You've probably been to your fair share of online training events over the past couple of years, and they usually follow, the exact same format. Like some guy talks to you for an hour, he tells a bunch of stories, he doesn't really teach you anything, and it's an hour-long pitch fest, and he's just barely teasing some good content at the end where he asks you to go and enroll in his $2,000 program, right? So I want to tell you, I want to check in with you and see, have you guys had that kind of experience? If any of you have been on a webinar like that recently, let me know, okay? Have any of you been on that webinar? So I see a bunch of yeses to Michael, to Kathy, to Bron, right? A lot of you, and over and over and over again, says Shari, right? So I want to be super clear here. This is not that kind of webinar. I do have a training program. I am going to invite you to join me at the end of it, and if it's a good fit, I'd love to work with you. But regardless of whether you buy from me or not, you're going to get a huge amount of value out of this call. You're going to walk away with some real things that you can put into place in your business like right away. And I guarantee that I'm going to show you everything I possibly can before I even get to anything I have to sell. And I want to share with you what one lady by the name of Lisa Brown wrote to me before she became a client of mine, because I think it may resonate, and it's really what this call is all about today. So here's what Lisa wrote. She said, "I've struggled with the essential task of translating my vision into a compelling message, an attractive online platform that feels truly exciting and authentic, both to me and my potential clients. I just did not know how to make sense of all the moving parts and felt overwhelmed and confused. As a result, my efforts were piecemeal, non-strategic, expensive, and ultimately disappointing." So I want to ask you, does this sound familiar? Is what this lady wrote, does this articulate what you're feeling in your heart? I mean, does it resonate with you and your experience? All right, so I hear bingo, says Sherry, and yes, and pretty much, says John, and yes, 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 says a bunch of people, Artie and Andrea and Kathy. Fabulous. So if this is your experience, I've got good news, because I'd like to stage a business intervention for you, just like my friend did for me 2 years ago, so you can receive the kind of results that I'm now seeing. I'm going to show you what's not working and how to fix it. A little tough love if you like, but with your best interest at heart, and of course with your permission. So today we're going to cover a lot of ground. I'm actually going to give you the same 6 steps I took after my intervention, and the exact same 6 steps that I lead my $20,000 clients through, people like Alexis, right? And if you follow these steps that I'm going to lay down, I guarantee your business is going to transform. You're going to start seeing results within a few weeks, as you really clarify your message, and that this clarity trickles down into everything that you're doing, into every conversation, every interaction, every piece of content, your website, your emails, you name it. So if that sounds good, I've got a favor to ask. From now until the end of this session, I want to ask that you really commit to actually working with me on your business. I'm going to be leading you through some processes and exercises that will need your full focus and attention, and if you're going to really see the benefit, I need you to be completely with me. So let me know in the question box that you are, and I'm going to wait for that commitment, because otherwise I'm wasting your time. I'm just here as an entertainer, and I want this to be a real intervention, not just a bunch of edutainment, okay? So type it into the question box and let me know if you're on board. All right, so I've got it. I'm here, says Escher. Yes, 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 says Bron and Morio and Christopher. Okay, wow, tons of response. So you guys are on board, all right? So if that's the case, I just want to ask you to do a couple things. I want you to go full screen and go to webinar. I want you to shut down your email, shut down Facebook, and take some notes. Not just focused on what I have to say, but notes on action, specific things that you're going to do and apply in your business to get results. Because I've had people at the end of this webinar say, I now have a plan to move forward, and I want you to come out with a plan as well. So let's go. So what happened during those 3 months when I reinvented my business? First of all, I had a big realization. I realized I was starting in the wrong place. Most people make the huge mistake of taking what I call an outside-in approach. They start in one of these 3 outer rings. They start with their marketing or their website or their content. They jump straight into these steps, maybe their website and their marketing, because everyone tells them you've got to have a website, you've got to have a Facebook page, you've got to have an email list. And here's what happens when you do this. Because you're not crystal clear on who you are, what you do, and why you're different, no one else is clear either. So you're sending out mixed messages or even the wrong messages that don't support you in building an audience hungry for your stuff. So people are landing on your site and they're bouncing off right away without taking any kind of action, without signing up for your mailing list, without buying your products and services. And you've just lost a huge opportunity to help someone with what you know. So I call failing to perform, failing to stand out, and failing to make people understand what you do and why they should care in those critical first few seconds when someone lands on your site, the leaky bucket syndrome. Because I see so many entrepreneurs wasting time and money fixated on all those marketing activities, right? Without first plugging the holes in their business. So if you're directing traffic to a website that fails the 3-second test and doesn't convert new visitors into leads and clients, then all of your time and effort spent on this marketing, it's like lost, right? It's like the traffic and the prospects and the leads go in and nothing comes out. No clients, no sales, no long-term relationships, nothing of value. And you've just wasted a whole lot of time with little to show for it. So the other mistake that people really make is they get obsessed with step number 4. They get obsessed with their content, packaging up all their knowledge and expertise into products, into services, into blog posts, because they're told that content is king. That all you got to do is make money online is to have something to sell. And then what happens? You spend months, maybe even years, writing these books, creating these products, and nobody buys them, or maybe 5 people buy them. And I'd like to know, has anyone here had this experience? Has anyone really had the experience of nobody buying their stuff? Because I see it all the time. So I see, yeah, says Jill, and a bunch of other yeahs, right? And it's frustrating. And I think the reason why is that there's a dangerous myth out there that goes something like this. To have success and to make money online, all we need to do is churn out info products and blog posts and all of this stuff, and people are going to flock to them and buy your stuff. And you're going to start making money while you sleep. And I bet that sounds familiar, because this is really the typical dream that all the gurus are telling you, to get you to buy their stuff. But the reality is that most small business owners have trouble selling their products and their programs. And the reason why is because there's already a ton of great content out there. You can Google anything and you're going to get like 1 million pages of responses back. So if you write and you record this brilliant content, you might not have anything to show for it because you haven't positioned yourself properly. There's nothing to differentiate your content from everybody else's, and you're stuck in what I call a commodity business. And commodity businesses are all about providing a product that's the biggest, the cheapest, the fastest, that's focused just on the information, the features and the benefits. And the problem with this model is that there's always someone out there who's willing to be faster and cheaper and better than you. And because no one's really resonating with you, they're not really caring about you and your brand and your message, it's like a race to the bottom. So after 2 years spinning around in those 3 outer rings, I realized it didn't matter how pretty my website was. It didn't matter how much marketing I did. It didn't matter how good my products and services were if I didn't have the core words and images I needed to really express my brand. So until I was dead clear about who I was, what I did, and why it mattered, nothing I could do would make a difference. I mean, sure, I could get some clients, I could make some sales, but it's like each one was a one-off sale and I was persuading and convincing people to work with me. I wasn't having that kind of off-the-hook success that I imagined. So if I was really going to take off, I needed to take an inside-out approach. So the thing is, nobody really talks about that stuff. No one focuses on the middle part, the center, the core of your business universe. They all talk about the tricks, the tactics, the technologies, the strategies for marketing your business online. They don't talk about things like, are you sending the right message to your audience? Are you resonating with them? Are you really positioning yourself relative to everyone else out there in a way that's going to inspire your audience to say yes to you and allow you to command those higher rates? And the reason no one talks about this is they'd rather stick a Band-Aid on your business, right, and bring you a few quick bucks so you think that you're getting results, rather than helping you build a business that's going to support you over the long term, to help you build a platform that's going to evolve with you. The other reason that no one's talking about this stuff is because there's a myth out there that all this branding, positioning, messaging stuff, 100 companies who've got like millions of dollars to sink in Super Bowl ads, right? But that's just not the case. Think about it. Why are all of you here today? You got an email from Alexis, an email telling you all about me, and you decided to show up and discover what she was talking about. Of course you're here because the content interests you, because you want to know what I have to say. But the real reason that you're here is because you trust and you follow Alexis, and she recommended you, right? So if she says you should check me out, then you check me out, and you're here. So branding is what allows you to do this. Branding is what allows you to really attract the right people into your tribe. The kind of people who respect your time and your skills and who are willing to pay for it, who become those repeat customers, not the whiners or the complainers or the refunders. Branding allows you to charge that premium for your knowledge, for your services, and to get hundreds or even thousands of students and customers. Branding is what allows you to position yourself and be recognized as a #1 authority in your particular field or niche. The person that everybody wants to work with, the person that says, have you seen them? Have you heard about them? You've got to check them out. So I've got a great tool for really helping you craft a memorable message in a brand, and it's coming right up. But first I want to give you a quick example of how this branding works in the real world by telling you the story of Lori Dupar. Lori used the power of brand to really catapult herself from unknown to the top ADHD coach in the country in like 12 months. So Lori originally had a site that looked like this, right? It's all like blue and black, and it just doesn't grab you at all, right? And her audience just couldn't stand it. They couldn't understand it. They're ADHD, right? Her audience had ADHD. So it was so badly designed that people just couldn't figure out what she was all about, She wanted to create this calm, soothing site that reflected how she worked with her clients, that kind of calming experience and what she does for them. But they just got bored and they took off and they left, right? So while you and I, we've got 3 to 7 seconds to really inspire our audience, she has like 1 second. So we sat down and we spent some time thinking through what people with ADHD would most likely want to see. What's going to capture their attention long enough to get their fingers off the back button? So on our list were things like bold color, high contrast, attention-grabbing graphic, really simple, straightforward design, and super big headlines, things that were just going to instantly suck them in. And we worked together and we came up with a new design that completely captured her audience's attention. And they loved it. They loved it so much that she's been able to launch 2 books, including a #1 Amazon bestseller, host a telesummit, release several projects, double her rates. I think she's seen a 250% increase in her income and a 10-fold increase in her list size. But more importantly, she's been able to apply this brand across her entire product suite to create a sales funnel that's elevated her to go-to expert status. And she's developing new products every few months. So the work we did gave her the message, it gave her the confidence to launch herself, to stand for something beyond what she actually does. So everything, her newsletters, her PowerPoint presentation, her products, her website, it all stands out relative to everyone else in her industry. So now when you really start from the inside out, when you really get down to the center first, everything becomes a lot easier. Not only do you have the clarity you need to produce your content, your website, and your marketing, but you've got the vision to really integrate it all into this coherent whole, into this one unified system, this one world. So you'll have the message, you'll have the brand that can carry through to everything that you produce. So everything looks like you, it sounds like you, it feels like you. You're sending that one clear, coherent message through everything. It's no longer about the piecemeal strategies, the mixed messages, the inconsistent signals, and it's this clarity that allows people to get you and feel like they can trust you. So let's get into these 6 steps. Let's actually do some exercises here. So Tony Robbins, he says that the path to success is to take massive, determined action. And I agree with him, as long as you're taking the right action. And the right action isn't about building a lot of stuff and putting it out into the world and hoping that the right people are going to find you, because that's about as likely as winning the lottery. The right action is taking a step back and taking a look at what's in the center, right? Because once you've got that clarity about your brand and your business, the action unfolds from there. All right, so are you ready to work on the center of your business with me? Great, because have you ever heard anyone say that in order to get anywhere, you need to know where you're going? And obviously, nowhere is that more true than in business. Because when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard to see the big picture of what's possible for you. But without that vision, without that big picture, your message and your brand, it's just like words and images. Because what we're talking about today is strategic messaging and strategic branding. And that's really got to be in service to your business model, in service to your business goals. It's got to be designed from the ground up to support where you want to go. So I'd like to encourage you here to just take a moment here and picture in your mind what you want for yourself. Because when you dream big, it's those outrageous, those unreasonable goals that really propel us into action. And this really hit home for me last spring when I sat in the audience of Brendan Burchard's 10X Empire event. In the very first day, Brendan walked on the stage and he said, "Does anyone here want to know how I got a $2 million book deal?" And everybody, of course, was like, "Yeah, tell me, how did you get a $2 million book deal?" He said, "I asked myself 5 years ago what it would take to get a $2 million book deal, and I figured it out, and I set about doing it." And this was so brain dead obvious, it kind of floored me. Here is a guy who is that strategic, that intentional about his business, that he decided 5 years ago what he was going to do, and he did it. And he's now grown in that 5-year time into a $10 million enterprise. And that makes sense to me. If you're going to achieve that kind of success, or even a fraction of that kind of success, you've got to create a vision for what's in your future and reverse engineer it. Create the message and brand that supports that. So what I mean by that is we want to look back from your destination and write down the actions that are going to lead you to the future that you design. So what's your $2 million book deal here? And what do you need to create to get there? Regardless of what it is for you, the first step is getting clear about your center. So let's focus in now on steps 2 and 3. Let's get clear about your message and your brand. So step 2 is the very, very crucial step where we empower your message to really connect with your audience, to connect and communicate who you are, what you do, and why it matters to them. Because if you can't get people to understand you or even pay attention to you, then you're going to have a really hard time getting them to buy from you. So getting your message right, or the words that you use to describe yourself and your business, is probably the most important thing that you can do in your business, right? So because this is so crucial to your success, I'd like to lead you through one of my fill-in-the-blank message templates. I call this exercise your XYZ statement, and it's one of over 20 different positioning exercises that I teach my students to help them create memorable and authentic business names, to create the product names, the taglines, the headlines in their business that really resonate. So a great XYZ statement, it's like a magic spell that allows your audience to really understand why they should care and to pass straight through to tell me more, or how do I sign up? And so many people get this wrong, so I want to show you what not to do and how you might be getting this wrong now. In our culture, we define ourselves by our work. So the first question that you get when you meet somebody is, what do you do? And what most people do here is they answer with something like, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a life coach. And the conversation kind of just comes to a screeching halt because that person has just put you in a box labeled lawyer or life coach and closed the lid. And that's it, They've lost curiosity. They think they know what you're about. So the conversation stops there. You talk about the weather or sports, you move on to something else. But if you've had a little more training, you might say something a bit more specific, like I'm an intellectual property lawyer, or I'm a holistic life coach. And that gives your audience a little bit more to hang their hat on, but it doesn't really make them care. And it doesn't tell them who you help and why it matters to them. So they might nod in recognition. They might kind of say, a gotcha, but you haven't let them know why they should keep listening. So crafting an XYZ statement that actually does this is it's not that hard. It's easier than you think. You only really need 3 pieces of information. So if you're ready to give this a shot, just grab a pen and let's do this. So the formula is, I help X do Y, so Z. I help my ideal client do this result, outcome, or transformation so they can receive this benefit. So here's how I fill in the statement. I help entrepreneurs and small business owners translate their big message for the world into a leading brand and lucrative web platform that positions them as the #1 authority in their field so they can get more clients, have more impact, and really find the freedom that they've been looking for. So are you interested yet? And I hope you are, but if you're not, that's okay. Because my XYZ statement, my message, only has to resonate with the people who are my ideal clients. In fact, it should turn off the other kinds of people, right? Because you only really want to be focused on the people who need what you have, who resonate with who you are. So are you getting this? Instead of leading with I design websites or I'm a life coach, you're telling people work with me and you're going to get the specific results. And the reason that this matters is this. And if you've done this well, if you're talking to someone who needs what you have to offer, you're going to see some telltale signs. You know, their eyes are going to light up. They're going to tell you something like, tell me more about it, or how do you do that? Or what I call the home run question, which is, do you have a card? And I get that a lot, you know, and it feels really, really good. So try practicing this XYZ statement until you're really getting consistently positive results, right? Try out different variations and watch to see what hits home. Because mastering this one simple statement, this elevator pitch, is going to completely transform each interaction you have, you know, and that really transforms your business. So I mentioned I've got 20 of these messaging templates, you know, templates such as the guru that you've all heard, you know, the storyteller, the inventor, the extended metaphor, the slogan, the mashup. And I can't give you all 20 today, but I'd like to give you one more if you want it. I want to give you one called the Big Promise. And the very first step of Big Promise positioning is to ask yourself the following question. What specific outcome or experience can I promise my clients that they want, but they just can't get anywhere else? So let me repeat that. What specific outcome or experience can I promise my clients that they want, but they just can't get anywhere else? So doing this exercise is a really easy way to get super clear on your message and your entire brand. Because a big promise is often what's used to name a business, to name a product, a book, or a program in a way that really positions you differently from everyone else in your market or niche. So let me give you a few examples of what this looks like. So some of these you probably already know, and I think some of them will really land for you. And the first one up is from Alicia Dunham's. It's bestseller in a weekend. How to go from idea to author in 4 hours or less, right? She's telling you exactly who it's for and what you're going to get, and kind of makes a promise that intrigues you. You say, no, really? But you want to know more. The next one is by Evan Pagan. It's Wake Up Productive. In 90 days, you'll wake up twice as productive as you are now. That's a promise. You're not going to be resonating with that if you're a couch potato who just wants to watch TV all the time. So he's speaking directly to his audience. Then you've got Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Powerful Lessons in Personal Change. And this one's similar. It's specific, it's clear. 7 habits. And you think to yourself, okay, if I have these 7 habits.
Hey, Marisa, I think we lost audio again. I'm not
no.
sure if you can hear me, but we can't hear you.
I can hear you. Can you hear me now? I don't know what's happening here. Can you hear me now? All right, it sounds like people can hear me now. Don't know what's going on today. And then I was saying the 7-day back pain cure. It's another example. I'm giving you examples of some big promise positioning. And that's how thousands of people got relief without doctors, drugs, or surgery, right? Again, super clear, super specific. So let's drill down further and see what's really going on here and why these titles work so well. So they all use what I call the 8 principles of effective messaging. They all make a big promise that's both credible and aspirational. They're clear, they're specific, they're simple, and they all evoke curiosity. You want to know more. Plus, they're unique to the messenger. There's something that only that person can deliver. And they allude to your specific process or your framework. And because they do that, they're really excluding the people who aren't your customers by telling them who it's for and who it's not for. So these principles apply across all of the different messaging and positioning templates, right? But if there's one overriding kind of meta principle here, it's like, don't be boring. Because you've really got to grab attention and you've got to get it quickly. And once you get your message right, it's like people are magnetized to you. They literally feel that you're the person, the only person who can help them, and you'll start getting emails like this one. I'm currently working with a high-ticket mastermind group. My membership is coming up for renewal, and I was thinking of not rejoining and exploring how Marisa can help me to take my business to the next level. Can you give me an idea of what Marisa charges for her VIP days? Are we in the $5,000, the $10,000, the $20,000 range? Now, how many of you would like to get emails like this? You know, if this doesn't show you the power of getting your center, your message, your brand, your positioning right, I don't know what does. So let's go on and move to the branding. Let's move on to step number 3. So at its core, branding is the art of creating a consistent image, feeling, and experience across a universe of possibilities. And the good news is that you get to define what you want that experience to be. by choosing to represent and run your business in a way that nobody else really does, right? And of course, it all starts with that first impression. By now you know that you only have a few seconds to get someone's attention online. You've got 3 to 7 seconds to be exact. And in that 3 to 7 seconds, there's some really big things that you got to do. There's actually an art and a science to it. And to really help you get that, I want to introduce you to one of my favorite things. I'd like you to meet a little-known 4-step framework called the product reading sequence, or the way that our brains experience and perceive new information. So this powerful marketing framework says that if you can give your audience the right information in the right order, you're going to engage the problem solving, the pattern recognition areas of their brains. And they'll naturally kind of do a better job of making sense of what you're all about. So branding is all about creating consistent impression or experience that your audience not only wants to receive, but they want to pass on and share. So here's how the product reading sequence works. I'd like you to imagine that you are walking down a supermarket aisle, probably one of those really big supermarkets, okay? And there are rows and rows of products on every single side of you. Now, each one of these products has already done something pretty extraordinary. They've gotten on the shelves of one of these big box stores, right? But their work isn't over. They've still got to get you to reach up, pull them off your shelf, and throw them into your basket, right? And if they're a heavyweight already, if they're a brand that's established, it's not that hard because people already recognize them. But if they're a startup product, someone new on the block, they've got to work extra hard to compete against those heavyweights. They've really got to grab attention and get you to give them a shot. So can anyone guess how they can do this, how they can grab attention and get you to pull them off the shelf? Let me know. All right. Can anyone guess? Eye level, says Carrie, right? Tracy says low price. Travis says by looking different. Shweta says the fun label. Shari says fun packaging, eye level. Christy says something unique. Okay, so you guys are all really, really close. The very first step is to simply get noticed, to stand out. And you often do that through the visual cues of your brand. Things like bold contrast and really vivid, eye-catching color, powerful words and fonts, prominent shapes, patterns, graphics, and expressive faces that really evoke emotion. And this is where the visual aspects of branding come into play. What most people identify as branding is this visual. And branding is that first step that allows people to just see you and enter your world. So I want you to think for a second about your website. Are you using stock photos and illustrations that everybody else is using? Are you using one of those free site builder softwares to create your site where you only have like 1 or 2 themes to choose from and you're not able to give the impression that you want? Or do you have like Vistaprint business cards or something like that? Because any one of these things might be keeping you from getting noticed or really have you get noticed in the wrong way, in a way that tells that person, this person, they're not serious about their business. So why should I take them seriously? Because once you get noticed, people move on to step number 2 in the product reading sequence. They ask themselves, what is it and where am I? And only then does your business name, your industry, your product and service category really come into play. And this step is about being as crystal clear about what you do as possible so it can come across in just a few seconds. And I know this may sound obvious, but it's not that obvious, right? I mean, how many times have you gone to a website and you really had no idea what it was about, right? All the time. All the time, right? It happens where you go somewhere and you're like, what is this person about? What are they doing? Why do they even have a website? And if people ever ask you something like that, I went to your site, but I wasn't really clear on how you could help me, it means that you've got an issue with really conveying what you do in a way that speaks to them so they can instantly get it. And it's not that something's wrong with your idea, something's not wrong with your vision, it's because you haven't expressed that clearly in a way that lands for your audience. And that's the critical distinction. What you do is not about you, it's about your audience and what you do for them. So think back to that big promise positioning that we did just a moment ago. Your big promise, it dials right into what you do for your audience, right? And it does it in a way that matters to them, not just matters to you. So when you incorporate your big promise into your headlines, into your taglines, into your product names, you're going to breeze right past step number 2. You're going to breeze right past what is this and go to the next step, which is why should I care? We're really that simple as humans, right? Get my attention, tell me what it is, and tell me why I should care. And we're also that busy and that distracted. So our brains are processing like 2 million bits of information a second, and only 5 to 9 of those pieces of information really rise to the surface of your conscious awareness. So not only do you have to be noticed, not only do you have to convey what you do in a way that resonates, but you've got to strike an emotional chord and actually make people care. So the best taglines and headlines and product names and promises really hit all 3 steps of the product reading sequence. They grab attention, they tell you what it is, and they tell you why it should care. And this is where your XYZ statement, your big promise exercise comes in. So a great way to really gauge the effectiveness of all of this stuff is to measure how many people are taking that. Out of all the people who are visiting your website, how many are signing up for your mailing list? How many of them are filling out your free consultation form? How many of them are liking or commenting on your blog posts? If this isn't happening for you, if you aren't getting like 5 to 10% or more of the people who visit your site to take action, then you've got that leaky bucket somewhere, right? So now let's move on to step 4 of the product reading sequence. Now, if and only if they're still interested at this point because you've gotten them to care, will people move on and ask, tell me more about it? And that's when all that other stuff comes into play, you know, the fine print, the features, the benefit, the guarantee, the price, all that stuff that a lot of times people like to lead with it. So if you go to one of those long online sales letters and they get to kind of what's in the box at the very bottom of the sales letter, it's not because they're, you know, baiting and switching or anything like that. It's because they have to make you care before they get to the good stuff, right? And I'm sure you've also been to those opt-in pages or the sales pages where they lead with the sale and you're instantly turned off because you don't have a relationship with them yet and you don't care. You don't know why this is actually going to benefit you. So the important thing to remember here is that you can't do this in reverse. You know, a lot of people start with a flood of information before they've even gotten noticed or let people know why they should care. And because of this, you know, their businesses suffer. And this is where Larry really fell on his face, right? He thought he could just wave his arms around and scream and say, here I am, but nobody paid attention. So he was left thinking, you know, this is where some websites that got all the luck, and I'm not that website. But he was doing something wrong. So if you lead with features and benefits and someone just wants to know why they should care, you're going to come across as out of touch. You're going to come across as kind of cold or indifferent, and you're going to lose people before you've made a lasting impression. But if you get this sequence right, it's going to really explode your business because you've leveraged the power of the product reading sequence. And you're telling people what you're about and why they should do business with you. And once you have the product reading sequence down, you can apply it to everything else you create. You can apply it to those outer rings of your business universe, to your content, to your website, and to your marketing. But first, let's look at how this plays out in one key area of your brand. You know, while your brand is about a lot more than your logo, it's that logo and that business name and that tagline that's associated with it that are really the most visible representations of what you do. Okay? And it's the touch point in your business that really has the strongest associations, what people refer to you by. And what most people do here is they create this like really cool looking symbol and they just plop it on top of the masthead in their website. Or they throw it on their business card, right? And if they're really hardcore, maybe they stick it on a mug or the side of a car. But your business name and your logo and your tagline, it's a lot deeper than a sticker. So one of the top 12 elements of branding is extendability. And what that means is that you want to craft your brand identity in a way that can easily extend out to all of the other products and offerings that you have. Right? To do it in a way that provides something of like an ongoing motif or a visual theme or metaphor. So I want to give you an example of how this works for the visual elements of your brand. So going back to Lori Parr's Coaching for ADHD website, you'll see that the gears are an element that we use over and over again throughout her site and through her entire product funnel. So the gears provide us with this really amazing, recognizable graphic system that we can use over and over again, right? And it's fabulous to have a great looking logo and brand concept that just kind of sits there on your website. But what happens then is everything you put out is kind of disconnected. So it's a lot more powerful to think of the visual elements of your brand like a graphic system, right? That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. You know, this saves you a lot of time and energy as you start to put new products out into the market. And Alexis knows this because with her logo, we created like 10 different product logos that match that in a whole series of graphics that we're just able to really easily churn out. and allow her to bring new products to market super fast because she's always creating new stuff, right? So if you can imagine like your Twitter page having the same theme and the same colors and the same elements as your Facebook page and your website and your opt-in page and your products, you'll really start to get the power of this. You know, you're going to become known not just by your content, but by your colors, by your fonts, by your graphic system. And people can start to recognize you instantly. But it gets even better than that because this kind of integration, it's like it bestows on you a huge amount of credibility and authority. And you instantly look the part. You know, you're sending the signals that will take you from being like a bit player to an A-lister because these are the cues that only the major players are sending out. And it's not hard. It's not necessarily expensive. You just have to tune into what your brand experience is all about, how you're different, and how to represent that visually in a way that really resonates with your audience. So now that we've covered the first 3 steps of my message to money system, I really want to take you back for a moment to where we started, to your business universe, or all the different places people interact with you and your business. And you can think about each one of these touch points kind of like a door that someone enters to enter your universe, right? To enter your business and enter your world. And this time you can see that we've got your message and your brand and your positioning right in the center. And the question is, where do we go from here? So as we've already seen, a lot of people get completely overwhelmed because they see all of these doors and these touch points and they think they've got to do it all at once. You know, they think they've got to put up their website, put up their Facebook page, do a bunch of video marketing, you know, send out a bunch of emails. And it's like, wow, I can't do all of this good. And the challenge is with all the possible doorways and touch points, you get distracted, you get overwhelmed with everything that you think you got to do to grow a business. So you dive right in and you start putting them up, right? And they're kind of like those doorways in the old school black and white movies where Charlie Chaplin opens a door and he falls through because there's nothing on the other side. Maybe even have these in your business where, you know, you go to someone's site and you sign up for their newsletter and you get like one email from them and you hear from them again 3 months later or never again. And they've got these big holes, these gaping holes in their universe that people are following through. And so they don't really turn that prospect into a client. So what I'd like you to do is to focus on a few doorways that really matter, the doorways that are going to move the needle for you and to do those super well. So there are a couple doorways that you gotta have, you know, things like your offerings and your website. They're sort of non-negotiable and essential. So you've got to have those if you want to have a thriving business. And you've got to build them in a way that reflects your message and brand, that really truly differentiates you and that inspires your audience into action. So I can't lead you through all of my processes around building out your website and your offerings in a way that really gets results and kind of structures them from the ground up to turn visitors into subscribers and subscribers into fans and fans into clients. But the goal here right now in this webinar is for you to think about everything in a connected and integrated way. So you know that once someone walks through a doorway, they're not going to fall through. They're actually going to be well taken care of and on their way to becoming that subscriber, that fan, that client, that repeat client. So once you've got those down, once you've got your website, your offerings down, all you got to do is pick 2 to 3 more things that you want to focus on, you know? 2 to 3 things like blogging, like social media, like email marketing or joint ventures or speaking. And if you've got your center down, if you've got your website and your offerings in place, and you're doing 2 to 3 things on a weekly basis to grow your tribe, that really is the basis of a 6-figure business and beyond. So the question is, how do you choose the 2 to 3 things you should be focusing on? First, you want to choose the stuff that you're actually good at, that you actually want to do, because you're more likely to follow through with them. And second, when you choose these 2 to 3 things, you want to consider where your audience is hanging out and how they like information to be delivered to them. You know, if they prefer social media and video, then try to give it to them if you can, because you're going to get a better response when you do, and your job gets a whole lot easier. So take a moment now and really think about what 2 to 3 areas that you want to focus on over the next 12 months. Because if you do just these 4 to 5 things, your website, your offering, plus 2 to 3 extra things in the way that I've shown you, where you're clearly and confidently positioning yourself in the market, then over the next 12 months, you know, I know that you're going to have clarity. You're going to have clarity on your message for the world so you can confidently and authentically share it in a way that inspires your audience to say yes. You're going to have more impact in the world by opening the floodgates to a really passionate, loyal tribe. You're going to have more income through your products, through your services, through your programs. And you're going to find freedom through creating an authentic business that allows you to live in your genius zone and help more people, but do it on your own terms. So using this model starting in 2011, I was able to triple my income the following year. And I'm on track to do the same this year. And that's what I want for you. So I'd like to check in with you guys and ask you, how did you like these exercises we covered today? What's your $2 million book deal look like? You know, your XYZ statement, the big promise positioning, the product reading sequence, brand extendability, and your business universe. You know, how did you like all these? What did you think of the 6-step plan to gain clarity, income, and freedom in the next 12 months? Did you have any kind of insights? Did you have any ideas? Are you excited about the possibilities? Just let me know in the question box and tell me what you think. I've got a lot of great thank you. They were very helpful. Great exercises, but too fast-paced. It was a great brief on branding in 1 hour that got from my 7-year career and MBA classes. Awesome. Very good. Thanks. Product reading sequence was really special. Brilliance. I'm going to go from the outside. I've been trying to go from the outside in, says John. Perfect. Awesome. So I'm getting a lot of great feedback and a lot of great input from you. Because as you know, at the very start of this call, I promised that I'd show you how to get clarity on your message and how to use it to generate more income through products and services, and also the roadmap to claiming the freedom you deserve. So what I'd like to know is whether I delivered on my promise. Do you feel more connected to your message? Can you really see that how it's going to allow you to clearly, confidently, authentically share it in a way that inspires people to say yes? So let me know in the question box whether I lived up to my promise, whether I showed you the path to clarity, income, and freedom. I see yes, clearer, firmer, says Michael. Kathy says, this is exciting for me as I'm just starting to focus on my business. Thank you, says Shari. Yes, you did. So I'm getting a bunch of reinforcement here, which is fabulous because it's important for me to keep my promise here. And I guess the next real question for you is, are you ready to get started? Are you ready to end the confusion, the frustration, to stop settling and really put the rocket under your business, to give it the boost it needs to really blast off over the next 12 months? You know, are you ready to do that? And the answer usually is it depends. And the reason why it depends is that when it comes to your business universe, especially when it comes to the center of your universe, it's really easy to get stuck. You know, stuck because it's hard to see yourself like your audience sees you. Stuck because you're too close or too in love with what you do to really see yourself objectively, right? And to make the right choices moving forward. And I've been there. You know, the details and the implementation matter, which is why it's so easy to get stuck when you know you don't have it right or when it's a little bit off. You got it because you got to strike the right chords, you know? You've got to strike the right chords with your audience. You got to choose the right words and understand which signals to put out into the world. And all that can be a little bit tricky. So I couldn't teach you all of these details in an hour, and I didn't have time to sit down one-on-one with each of you and really find out what's going on in your business right now. Because when it comes to your message, your brand, your positioning, as you've seen, it's not always something you can just paint by numbers with. And while I have a lot of messaging templates that really help my students get clear fast, it's also this conversation, this dialogue, this back and forth in the community that really sparks the biggest breakthroughs and allows you to connect the dots and really see the vision that was hiding there all along. So message and brand, it's kind of a science and an art. It's a really magic combination of both the left brain and the right brain, and it takes some real expertise to get it right. So working with me privately, like Alexis did, costs tens of thousands of dollars, and my clients have been really thrilled with the results. But I can only help so many people one-on-one, and I want to help lots of people. So I've created a training program that teaches many of the same strategies, but does it affordably. And I'd like to invite you to join me in Message to Money. So what I want to do right now is I want to take about 5 to 7 minutes and tell you what's inside this training. Then I want to go to Q&A and answer any and all questions that you have. So here's what you're going to get if you join Message to Money. It's a 6-module training program delivered weekly starting April 17th. So each module contains 1 to 2 hours of training video by me, along with downloads and worksheet exercises to help you figure out the really important stuff that you need to get and how to integrate that into your business. And along with each of the 6 sessions, there's a live Q&A coaching and training call with me, where you're going to be able to ask me all of the questions that you've got about how to implement that week's training material. So you have 1 week to learn and 1 week to implement before we move on to the next module. So in Module 1, we're going to start with discovering what your roadmap to freedom looks like, the exact steps that you need to take to reach your highest goals. And I'm going to take you by the hand and literally show you the path to success here. Then in Module 2, we're going to dive into the nuts and the bolts of your big message for the world. You know, why you do what you do and who you serve. So you're going to get my entire collection of 20 powerful exercises and templates to create a really compelling, crystal clear message that will inspire people to do business with you. Plus, you're going to get my personal guidance as you craft that pitch perfect message. Then in Module 3, you'll discover why your brand will be turning off the very people you really want to be turning on. I'll show you how to fix it fast using things like the 12 elements of powerful branding. Things like brand extendability help you create a platform that's really worthy of you, a platform that's going to allow you to make a huge impact in the world. In Module 4, you'll learn how to create a content and product funnel that's going to turn a trickle of product and program sales into a flood and really create a healthy income for you. You'll also find out how to effortlessly package your knowledge and move your customers and clients up through your offerings without being hypey or salesy or sleazy. In Module 5, you'll discover my best practice tips to build a new website or tweak an existing website to really skyrocket your results. You'll learn all the ways that the product reading sequence can help you stand out and get really fast attention. And I'll show you how to structure each page of your website and what all the different kinds of pages are around the goal that you want people to take. So you can really make sure that you convert visitors into subscribers and followers and buyers on every page of your site. Then in Module 6, you'll learn exactly how to open the floodgates through blogging, social media, email marketing, partnering, so that your tribe really finds you. So as I mentioned already, you're also going to receive access to 7 live support calls over the entire training period. So you always have the opportunity to ask me any questions that crop up as you watch and implement the trainings. So in these live group coaching calls, we're going to have a lot of Q&A and hot seats where I'll review the work that you've already done and answer your questions and make sure you're on the right track. I always stay until every call is answered, every question is answered, and the calls, people say, are worth the value of the entire program. So naturally, we do have some bonuses because I really want you to be completely wowed by what we're giving. So it's just a no-brainer for you. You're also going to get Hidden Story Power, a crash course valued at $197, and how to find and tell your personal story in a way that transforms your business. You're going to get Walking in Your Client's Shoes, my bonus training, which shows you how to fine-tune your marketing message so it speaks directly to your ideal client's soul. And you'll also receive complimentary access to our Facebook group. So you get kind of 24/7 access to me and the rest of the students, and you can really bounce off your ideas and your marketing and your messages as you go and get a lot of feedback. And this is my favorite bonus. I'm so confident of the progress that you're going to make and the results that you'll achieve in your business between now and October that I'm going to give you 2 complimentary tickets valued at $1,000 to Message to Money Live in Los Angeles. And I know that you're going to have the ways and the means to hop a flight and to dedicate a weekend to focusing on your business to celebrate your success with your fellow alumni. You'll also have lifetime access to the materials, including all of the updates and the Facebook group, so you're never going to feel like you're doing it alone. You'll be able to go at your own pace, whether that's diving right in and getting started and super quickly building everything you got to build, whether that's taking a full year. So everything is going to be given to you into this really kind of focused, tightly crafted 14-week roadmap so you never feel lost or overwhelmed or frustrated. So now let me tell you about the guarantee that I've got for this program. I really want to take all the risk here. You're not going to have 30 days to try out the program and see whether you like it, because that's barely enough time to get into it. And you're not even going to have 60 days, because that's not enough time to see results. I'm actually going to give you the entire 12 weeks. So you've got 12 weeks to try out the program and see if you like it before deciding. So you can join the program, you can go through the entire program, benefit from every training module, every call, and only then decide whether you like it, okay? So if you're not like super excited about the program at that point, I actually want you to ask for your money back, okay? I really want you to get a huge amount over this program, and the only way not to get a huge amount is to not show up and to not watch the training and to not do the work. So it's hard to believe that with all this value, the program does not cost tens of thousands of dollars, like working with me privately. It doesn't cost the magic $19.97, $14.97, $9.97 number either. You can get started with me today for just $197 plus 3 additional monthly payments of $197 starting a month from now. So in total, that's just 4 payments of $197, and that's it. You're done. Or if you prefer, you can invest with a single payment of $697. So we keep the investment low and we take on all the risk because we really want to make this training accessible to you. And we really want to make sure that you give it a shot if you're called to do this work. So on that note, if everything I've described sounds good to you, and only if everything I've described sounds good, go to liveyourmessage.com/m2m. That's liveyourmessage.com/m2m. And we're going to type the link here into the chat box. So we're putting it in right now. If you can just check the link and let me know if it's working. So if you go to the page, at the top of the page, you're going to see a big orange Add to Cart button. Just click on that button, and I'd absolutely love to work with you. And I'm not going to do this false scarcity thing and say you can only buy it today, and if you don't buy it, your life is just kind of going to suck. But what I am going to do is this. If you sign up while we're still on the call, you're going to get a fast action bonus, because I really like to recognize people who show up, who make decisions, who take action. You're going to get a one-on-one, laser-focused message and personal brand session with me, and this usually costs $397. It's a 45-minute call. We can talk about anything you like, whether that's your overall strategy and direction, your brand, your message, your marketing, your website, and you can use this session tomorrow or a year from now. It's there waiting for you whenever you need it. This offer is not going to be on the replay. You can only get it on the call right now if you go to liveyourmessage.com/m2m. So I really want you to get results, and I know just how important it is to work with someone who's gotten results for themselves and for other people. You've already heard about the results that I got for Alexis and her Law Business Mentors business. So I also want to share with you what a couple of my students in this program have to say. And then we're going to go right on to Q&A. So Gina Hyatt wrote to say, because of your training, I was able to attract a sponsorship opportunity that put me in front of 700 people, got me 500 people on my mailing list, and maybe $20,000. And here's what Anna Graham Hunter, the job happiness coach, wrote to say. I tell everyone how amazing this program is. Others were practical. Yours was transformational. By far the best investment I've made, jam-packed with incredibly valuable information and soul-searching exercises. The feedback-rich community of the private Facebook group and Marisa's one-on-one attention during the coaching calls provides everything you promised. I was overwhelmed at everything I needed to do, and thanks to Message to Money, I now have a crystal clear idea of where I'm going with my business, and most importantly, I'm doing it. So now I want to hear the same sorts of things coming from you. So if this training is right for you, I would love to work with you. So go to liveyourmessage.com/m2m and sign up right now. So what I'd like to do now is to really open the floor and see if you have any questions. And to answer those questions, I know that Deborah's been on the line kind of responding to all of you and taking note of all of your questions.
Hi, Marisa. We do have a couple questions and a lot of thank yous in the messages there, too.
What do we got?
Okay. Shweta actually asked if you could go over exercise number 1 again really quickly.
The XYZ statements. Sure, absolutely. So the exercise is I help X, which is your ideal client, do Y, which is the outcome or the transformation that you offer through your work, so that Z, which is the ultimate benefit of what you do.
Lovely. We have another question here from Sebastian that says, Marisa, I'm just starting out. Is this right for me?
Absolutely, Sebastian. So doing this course when you're just starting out is an awesome time to do it, because you're not going to spend 2 years like I did really spinning around investing huge amounts of money in things that aren't working. What I'm going to do is show you the roadmap to really shortcut this and to help you get super clear. And the clarity is the hard part for people, really figuring out what their business is about and how to position it in a way that's going to inspire people to say yes. So I'm going to show you how to kind of shortcut all of that. So you're going to come out of the gate with a super powerful message, a super powerful brand and web presence that's really going to get results from day one, and save you, like I said, a lot of spinning around doing the wrong things.
Wonderful. We have some more questions here, but I wanted to quickly welcome Deborah Garcia and Shari Yontes to the group. Welcome.
Awesome. Welcome, guys. Look forward to hearing more about your business and working with you.
Lovely. Let's see here. Tara says, can we sign up for you to create a website? Let me see here. Oh, also asking if you have other services than the Message to Money program. Do you also create websites?
I do also create websites. Right now, we're only doing that at the $20,000 level for clients. So, and we only take one person a month at the current moment. But this is something that, so right now, kind of the best way to work with me is to enter one of these programs.
About website here from Elizabeth saying, I don't have a website and is wondering if this will be covered in the program, how to get started with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you know from what Alexis said, one of the things that I do every day for people is I build the brands and the web presences for them. So we know how to do this really well, and I cover it in depth in module number 5. So I really show you page by page how to craft every single page on your website, how to craft the sales pages, the squeeze pages, the about pages, the blog pages to really convert the most number of people, to build your list, and to do all of that kind of stuff. So this is actually one of the meatiest modules in the program.
Perfect. And we had a follow-up question from Shweta when you went over the XYZ exercise. I was actually asking if you could cover exercise number 1, which I think was maybe the book deal.
The $2 million book deal. Okay.
Yes.
So the real exercise is to imagine what that means for you. So I also call this your Olympic moment, because I think it was Gabby Douglas on the women's gymnastic team who, had kind of a shaky performance, and she was asked by her reporter, why didn't you fall off the balance beam? And she said, I just had a picture in my mind of me on the podium with a medal around my neck. And that was something that I just had a picture of myself there. And so I knew that I couldn't fall off. And when you really have to see something like that for yourself, not only are you going to be able to reverse engineer everything else, because your message and your brand and your website and your content has to support you in moving towards your goals, but it also gives you the kind of juice and the fuel to get up and keep working, right? Something to move forward towards.
Wonderful. And we have a question here from Dory that says, I'm really interested in the logo brand part. How much of that is going to be covered in the M2M program?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a whole module on branding, and I go in depth about how to really get that logo right. And not just the logo, but all of the other elements of your brand. So this course is kind of based on that inside out model, which is basically that we're going to get this messaging, we're going to get this branding stuff down solid, and then we're going to apply that out to everything else that you do. So you're not just creating a single logo, you're creating an entire system of materials and collateral that you can use to get your message out there and to really grow your business in a leveraged way.
Perfect. I have a couple more questions. I first wanted to welcome Elon Fredrinson and Amanda Loringa to the group.
Awesome. Welcome, Amanda and Elon. Can't wait to work with you guys.
And Carrie has a question here saying, so your passion to do this work came out of your frustration of spending a lot of time trying to find your way?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of those things. My passion came out of all the frustration because I was literally, one of those junkies on the training circuit that you see over and over again at every single event where I was there trying to absorb the best from everybody. I spent like $52,000 in 2 years just on trainings and coaching and things like that, and I was failing. And it's because everybody was telling me how to do this kind of tactics and all of that. And I knew, but it was never right. It was like I was doing the tactics, but it wasn't working. So I knew something was off. But I definitely have some other stories and some other motivations there about, living the first 10 years of my career doing the wrong thing because I didn't realize that I could build a whole business around who I was and what I did. So I spent the first part of my career, working on messaging for nonprofits, messaging for social issues. And let me tell you, that's hard stuff. So I learned really by fire how to craft messages that work.
About the group coaching, will I get time with you?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I commit to staying on the calls until every single question is answered, and that's really important to me. So as long as you come, as long as you type in the chat window like you've done today and ask a question, I actually open the line for you. So I open the line for you and we have a dialogue. So you're not just asking a question, we can have a conversation about it, and then we can bring in the rest of the community and ask them what they think too. So you can get this instant feedback on your business or whatever challenge you're wrestling with, whether it's look at my website, tell me what's not working about it, because we've got the capacity to do that, to actually visit your website on the call, and I'll give you that immediate feedback, but you can get the input of the group too. And if you're not able to make the live calls, you can actually email me your questions ahead of time, and I answer all the questions that are emailed to me at the end of the call. So even if you can't make it, you're going to be able to ask your questions, and I'll answer them. You know, I know when it comes to this kind of stuff, message brand positioning, sometimes it takes that conversation, which is why I offer the course in this format. You know, you can get all of the training on the recorded videos and go through that at your own pace, but I give you that opportunity to dialogue and to get into conversation with me, because I know sometimes it's that conversation that can actually clear the block and get you moving really fast.
Lovely. And I have a question here from Deborah that says, I'm curious about the technical aspects of my website. Will you be recommending who to sign up with or for hosting?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as I mentioned, I do this every day for clients. So we've tried just about every platform. You know, I set Alexis up in Customer Hub and Infusionsoft for her projects, but there are different platforms depending on where you are at your business. So I'm going to make recommendations based on the size of your business and based on the kinds of products and services that you want to offer, because a lot of times people just give you a blanket recommendation or say you've got to be on Infusionsoft or you've got to be on Office Autopilot, but that might not be where you're at right now. So I definitely give you recommendations for where to invest, you know, in the technology. But honestly, also the focus of the program, though, goes beyond the technology, because I show you how to actually structure your website. So the technology might change a year or two from now, and there are kind of new tactics that are coming in all the time about structuring your website to get results. But I'm going to show you how to think about your site, because what happens is you might hire a graphic designer who knows how to make things look pretty, or you might hire a developer who knows how to make something work, but they don't understand the strategy behind your website that actually drives people to convert, drives people to sign up for your list, drives people into action, whether that's a sale or engagement. So I'm really focused on teaching you that, and then giving the kind of technology and tools that you need to support that.
Wonderful. And I have a question here from Braun. Let's see, it says, I will be away for the first week of this program, so would I fall behind if I can't start until late April?
No, absolutely not. So the very first week of the program is actually a quick start module, and that's mostly an introduction to get you kind of dialoguing with the community, because I know that people are just signing up for the course, and I've structured it that way. So the first module gets delivered on the 17th, and then you've got a couple of weeks to really ingest that module before our next call, so you're not going to fall behind. You'll definitely be able to keep pace with people.
Wonderful. And I have a couple more questions here, but first I wanted to welcome Arthur Egendorf to the group.
Awesome, Arthur. Welcome to the group.
And I have a question from Julia. I think it's when you were talking about doing the two primary things and then choosing a couple more. She says, or Yulia, I'm sorry. Yulia says, can the 2 to 3 things change over time, and how do you prioritize how to choose from them?
Yeah, absolutely. They should change. So as you really get something intact, like my website is working really well, it's optimized right now, so that's no longer on my list. And I told you that the website and your offering should always be on your list. But once you've got that down, you can choose to move on to something else, right? So your offerings, you're always kind of creating offerings and products and services, so I think you can always be working on fine-tuning that. But whether it comes to, say, speaking or social media, there are 2 different considerations. One is what's going to bring you the most amount of business quickest. So, for example, things like webinars, things like speaking from the stage can have a lot. You can reach a lot of people simultaneously in a very deep way, where you get to interact with them for an hour or 90 minutes, right? And so that gives you a lot of contact over them. So a lot of times that's going to kind of bring people into your business at a much higher rate than social media. You know, social media is less about selling than it is about kind of driving people to your website, driving traffic, building community, building relationships. So that relationship building stage is often a later people into your business and getting them to buy. So a lot of the consideration is about sequencing. You know, what to do first depends on where you are in your business and what your most immediate goals are. But it also, like I said, depends on what you're going to actually do. You know, if you're a speaker, you might do, say, video or virtual events before you want to do written blog posts. And then finally, you know, I teach you something in the course called power signals. And power signals are which of your touch points, kind of which of these elements in your brand universe actually support your core messages, your core brand in a way that kind of reinforces the credibility and the positioning for you. So there are definitely a number of different considerations on where to focus on and how to kind of sequence your marketing efforts to get the best results.
Wonderful. And let's see here, we have a question from Rick saying, how do I avoid feeling overwhelmed by all the different ways to communicate my message?
Absolutely. So I think it's very similar to the answer that I just gave. The first way to stop feeling overwhelmed is to first get super clear about what the message is. Because once you've got the clarity on the message, it's like the actions and the communication vehicles just come out of that, right? But before you've got the clarity, it's a lot harder to kind of dive into these marketing vehicles because you don't really know what to say, or you never feel like you're saying the right thing, or that people are responding in the way that you want them to respond. And then after that point, it's about prioritizing the communication vehicles or the marketing platforms that you choose to really help you reach your goals quickest and to know what's most important now and what comes after that.
Lovely. Thank you. Yes, those were two close questions. Always nice to reinforce it there. I've got a question here from Eric that says, what if we do not have any products ready yet?
That's totally fine because, like I said with the product approach, sometimes starting with the product is not the right place to start. So when I built my business, I built my entire business with my high-end done-for-you services and with my free gift. And that was the basis of a six-figure business. So only once I started to build my following did I start to introduce the different products and the different programs. So there's definitely a way to think about your kind of sales funnel and all the different products and services that you offer based on where you're at right now and how many people you have following you and kind of where you can get the most amount of people the fastest. So don't worry about not having products. And when we actually structure your funnel and the kind of pathway people take through your business in the right way, it becomes a lot easier to make those offerings and to know what to offer next, not to just put something out because you think people want it.
Thank you. Let's see here. I have a question from Eddie that says, if you're working full-time at the moment, is this course doable?
Absolutely. So I actually launched my entire Live Your Message when I still had a day job. And within 3 months of launching it or 2 months of launching it, I quit the day job. So this program is designed for you to spend about 2 to 3 hours a week to really kind of watch all the materials, to kind of participate in the community, to show up to the calls, to ask your question, to start to implement. But you've got lifetime access. So even if you're not able to start implementing right away, you know, I'm a strategist, so I know that the most important thing is to get super clear and to have that strategy. So when you go into action, you're really doing the right actions, the most effective actions, right? So I definitely think you can do this if you've got a job.
Perfect. We know that you've shown us that you were able to get clear with a day job. Always a good example there. Let's see. I've got a question here from Andrea that says, does the program help if you aren't clear yet on your message?
Yeah, absolutely. So I call the program Message to Money because I know that it starts with your message. It starts with clarity around the actual words that you use in your business. And that's super critical before you do anything else. And so I gave you like 2 different templates, 2 different exercises to help you get clear on your message, but I've got 20 of them because I know the kind of template that you choose is based on your core values. You know, there are certain templates like the guru that is more appropriate if you're into things like fame and power and money, and less appropriate if you're into authenticity. So I've got a lot of different message templates that really support you based on the kind of person you are and the kind of clients that you want to attract.
Wonderful. Let's see here. Yulia wanted to ask, I said, I'm curious about the event that you're hosting live. Could you share more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the event that I'm hosting live is really going to be about, it's a workshop. It's really about helping you dive into this materials, but in a really participatory context where you can be working in small groups, where you can come up on stage and you can kind of work with me one-on-one. So any of the work that you've already done in terms of building out your message, building out your brand, will we'll be able to go deeper into it. We'll have this kind of crash course, this 2-day immersive, a lot of feedback and input into your message and your brand right there, both from me, get my expertise, but also from the community. And I know what happens, or what's happened the last time I led this call, is that we've created such a tight-knit community, that people are so excited, and they really want to meet each other because they've built these relationships, okay?
Wonderful. Let me see here. I have a question from Anna Maria. It's a little bit of a longer one here. Anna Maria shares that the biggest obstacle is that she feels frozen on the fact that she's in Canada and her website and her marketing materials and newsletter need to be bilingual.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that it feels almost paralyzing even though she's trilingual and speaks English and French for work, but it's challenging to have so much content in so many different languages. Would you be willing to address this and share some insights?
Sure, absolutely. So one quick question. I know that Canada is bilingual. Do you have a sense of your audience and what the kind of majority of them are English speaking and the majority of them are Francophone, or if the majority of them are bilingual? Because if your audience, if maybe is only 20% or 10% only speaking a particular language, maybe you don't have to worry about it quite as much yet. And that could be something that you choose to address later on, maybe a year down the line. There are free tools and things that you can install on your website to allow for that instantaneous translation. They're not perfect. It's going to be a little bit of rough, but there are some things that can help you along the lines. But one thing that I recommend at the beginning of your business, as you're first getting started, is to maybe niche down to a particular language, whether it's the English or whether it's the French, whatever the dominant language of your audience is, and really just speak to that. And don't worry about the other part of the audience yet. As you start to have more success and you can actually put the resources into doing a truly bilingual platform, you can do that. If that's not satisfactory to you, then I would explore one of the plugins that really allow you to have that kind of translation on your site, to have the kind of flags in the upper right-hand corner. And there could be certain things that you actually translate properly, like the core homepage content, and other things like blog posts that you allow to just happen via the automatic translation services. So there's different approaches you can take.
Wonderful. And she actually added some clarity saying on my site it is bilingual. It's done by professional translation, but new materials like newsletters and things that I add, I don't have the capacity to translate all the time.
Yeah, I would translate what you can and translate what the most powerful things are, because I understand you're putting out content all the time. And I would also just say, maybe there is a resource that you can point people to do the instantaneous translation, but I wouldn't get stuck on that. I just do the best that you can. If you're able to do that on your core website, which is the most important thing, then just focus on the language that is the majority part of your audience right now for your marketing messages, because I don't want you to, get paralyzed with that.
Okay, wonderful. Let's see here. I have another question, but first I wanted to welcome Sherry Stockman to the group.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So let's see here. The question that I've got is from Deborah saying, how does your program differ from Brennan Burchard's Experts Academy and Total Product Blueprint? And if I'm doing his programs, will doing yours help me move towards and move forward in my business?
Sure, absolutely. So I've studied Brendan Burchard for a while, and I've gone through all of his programs, and I know what he's amazing at, and I know what he's not as good at. And one thing that he's amazing at is he's very, very motivational. He allows you to see the big picture and the dream. He's got a lot of sizzle, but sometimes when it comes to like the steak, the actual showing you the exact strategies and tactics that you need to follow and giving you the templates that you need to do to actually craft that message. He talks about positioning and packaging and gives you the kind of big picture of why it's important. But sometimes he stops short of actually telling you exactly how to do it, where he says it's super easy. You just need these 4 pages in your business and you're going to have $1 million. And what I found in this community, in his mastermind, is that a lot of people build these 4 pages and they don't have $1 million because they don't have the traffic figured out or they don't have the message figured out. And this is something that I've noticed. He's awesome. I've learned a ton from him, but I do know that he stops short of really going deep into the how-to and balancing the strategy with the tactic, the inspiration with the how-to. And that's something that I'm able to do. And I think part of the reason is that I actually do this every day, not just for my own business, but for my clients' business. And I think that Brendan's at a point where he's making $10 million a year and he's friends with Jeff Walker and Mike Koenigs and all the different people. And what works for him doesn't work for most entrepreneurs and most business owners, you know? And because I'm working with people like you all the time, I actually know the strategies that are going to work with somebody who is at your level.
Hey, Marisa, it's Alexis. Hi. I'm still here,
going?
and good. And I'm noticing that there's a lot of folks who are still here. And for those of you that are still here, and for those of you that already did make the investment, I am going to actually add in a bonus here that Marisa and her team don't even know about. I just talked it over with Danielle on my team, and we decided that for those of you that do decide to move forward with Message to Money and go through Marisa's entire program and apply it to your business, we're going to also give you some additional help. And we're going to give you that help in the form of our Eyes Wide Open coaching program, which is normally $250 a month. And we're going to give you 60 days of that, 2 months at no charge. That's $500 worth of value, but far, far, far more than that when it comes to really making sure that you are able to build your business with your eyes wide open. Because once you've got your message down, you've got your website going, there's going to be all sorts of things that come up in your business that surprise you, let me just say. Things like customer complaints, things like problems with vendors, things like legal, insurance, financial, and tax problems, questions about your business model, how do I really bring in the revenue, questions on campaigns, and all sorts of things that you're not necessarily going to know where to turn. And Eyes Wide Open is the perfect place for you to do that. So for those of you that are still wondering, am I really going to have the support that I need to build my business if I invest in Marisa's program? We're going to make it just a little bit juicier and give you 60 days of that Eyes Wide Open coaching, which is every other week coaching calls with me, every other week accountability and implementation calls with our team, plus you get to join us on our behind-the-scenes all-access team training calls and actually watch us build our business, exactly the kind of business that you are building right now online. You get to see us do it, so that Marisa's teaching you how to do it, giving you all the specifics, helping you to develop all of the pieces of your message and how to turn that into money, and then you get to watch us do it as we do it for our team. So, Marisa, we're going to get you that information so that you can send that out in the email afterwards for all the people who might have missed it. And for those of you that are still wondering, is this great for me? We want to say yes, absolutely it is. And this is just going to make it even a little sweeter for you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. I know how valuable your coaching and training is, and I was actually, our one-on-one session, our day together was actually streamed live on your Eyes Wide Open coaching, so I know that we've already done some of that work together, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's right. We like to be really transparent, show you guys what it really looks like behind the scenes to build the business, and then to help you answer those hard questions that you just don't have anywhere else to take that come up in business along the way so that you can really build your business with your eyes wide open. So I do have to head off to another call right now, and I know that Marisa made a special offer for you that you've got to take advantage of before this call ends. So if you're wanting to get in on that, now is the time, because I would suspect the call is going to end pretty soon. So make sure you go to the URL that Marisa provided. It's liveyourmessage.com/M, the number 2M. You see it right there on the screen in front of you, and you'll be able to get that fast action bonus plus our 60 days of Eyes Wide Open coaching as well. And Great. And I heard you welcoming all the new people from our community into your community, and I'm so glad that they're all going to be getting your support and help as well. And I just want to say one other thing really quickly. For those of you that know me, you might see that my branding still, to some degree, is kind of scattered and all over the place, because Marisa came in and worked with us on the lawyer side of our business first, and we'll be circling back around to the other pieces of our business next. And so for those of you that have multiple things going on in your business, know that you don't have to do it all at once. You could start right where you are. And the sooner that you get this help, bringing your branding all together at once, the easier it is going to be, because I built all of, probably 10 websites with no support in this area, and things just got really scattered and out of control. And then I had to kind of deconstruct and reconstruct it all from scratch. But if you can really do it all from the beginning, it is going to make it easier. And if you're already deep into it, don't worry, just take one piece and start from right where you are right now. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. And as you can see, Marisa really helps you break it down step by step. So Marisa, thank you so much for bringing this to my community. And yeah, I look forward to really helping you, many of you, take this journey even a step farther.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for offering that generous extra bonus, because I know the support that you can get, and between my support and your support, I know that you all are going to be just a tremendous success.
We also have a couple of new people who just joined us.
Awesome.
We got Michael Weiss and Andrea Hoots who just joined us, and a lot of thank yous on the screen there to both of you for all you shared today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm still happy to answer more questions if people are on the line.
We have a message that came in from Anna Maria about the information in Canada, and she said, thank you so much. What you shared was great.
Awesome. You're welcome.
And I'm just double checking. I think we've covered everybody's questions, but I want to double check that I haven't missed anybody. There's a lot of thank yous in there and everything. Let's see. This is just what they've been looking for, so. Okay. I think we have them covered unless anybody else has any additional questions to add to the Q&A box.
Kathy says that we missed her question. Kathy, do you think you could share your question one more time so we can make sure we get it?
Oh, okay, I see that.
And Artie, I see, says, do we automatically come to Alexis's attention for the 60-day bonus she announced? So, Artie, we're going to communicate with Alexis and let her know that you've entered the program. And I don't know what her process is on her team, but it might take you guys, a week or two or however long to actually get access to that. But once you do, it's going to be 2 months from start to finish. So we'll coordinate. It's not going to happen automatically just because we just announced it. So it's not automated yet, but it will definitely be communicated, and we'll make sure that you get that. And apparently Danielle says that you can email support@eyeswideopenlife.com with your receipt. And if you email Danielle your receipt at support@eyeswideopenlife.com, and I'll type that into the chat window here, you're going to be able to get that bonus right away. And by the way, Deb is at support@liveyourmessage.com. So if you have any additional questions, and I'm happy to answer any of the ones that come here on this call, then email Deb, and if you have just questions about how this applies to your business, and she'll get those questions answered. If I haven't been able to answer all of them today, but I'm definitely still on the line if you've got questions. And as long as we're on the line, you're still going to be able to get both Alexis's bonus that she offered and my bonus, which is the 45-minute one-on-one call with me. So did we get Kathy's question?
Let's see. It looks like she added a question there.
Oh, I see what it is. She said, is this going to repeat after it ends? I'm unable to attend the cycle, but very interested in doing this. So, Kathy, I will be reopening enrollment in the year. It is going to, at that point, be a higher investment point. I'm kind of offering it still at this lower investment point right now. It's going to be more organized around the event. But one thing that I am going to say is that if, regardless of whether you buy now or you buy then, you have lifetime access to all of the materials, to the Facebook group. So you actually get every single update that I do to the course, and you also get to stay in the community. So totally up to you. And people have the option, by the way, of repeating the course once they're finished with it, because sometimes, life gets in the way or something happens or they fall behind or whatever it is. And so a lot of people have repeated the course like a second or a third time, or gone through the course a second time with a different business, because a lot of times the strategies apply to all the different businesses that you've got, right? So they go through it again, and they're able to actually go through the calls all over again as well. So yes, if you're interested and you want to enroll later, we'd love to have you when the time is right for you, whether that's now or whether that's later. Okay, so Eddie, I'm not sure if it's Edie or Eddie, but writes, how long is the 697 price point gonna be offered? So the enrollment in this course stops on April 15th. So that's this coming Monday, because the first call is on April 17th. So after that point, you're not going to be able to get message to money again at 697. It's actually incredibly reasonable for everything that I give to you. There's a lot in here that you're going to get. The next time it's offered, it does go up to $997. So if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence and you want to invest now, you get to secure that rate, because next time it is more expensive, and you still get the live tickets that I'm going to offer in the fall, and you still get to repeat the course again if you want to, or if the timing doesn't quite work out or whatever. So this price point is going to be good until Monday the 15th. You got a little bit of time to decide, but like I said, you're not going to necessarily get the bonus of the 45-minute one-on-one coaching session with me after this call. So. Okay, so I see that some other people have questions that she's going to email you about. And yeah, I don't see any other questions that have come in. Do you?
Nope. I think that was everything. I see that last one that said that they'll send us an email. So everybody else's question, I believe we have covered today. And lots of thank yous again for all the information that you shared.
You're absolutely welcome. So what I will say is that we're going to leave this 15-minute bonus up for, this 45-minute one-on-one call bonus up until, I guess 5 p.m. my time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific. So you still have 15 minutes to decide whether you want this or not. And I know a lot of you are still on the call, and I trust that there's a reason for this. And what I want to say is that I recommend you make a choice one way or another, whether that's a yes, I want to do this, or no, it's not right, or it's not the right time for me now. Because something that I've noticed that happens is it's really easy to kind of slip into maybe, or I don't know, or if then but kind of mode. And what happens is that the choice gets made for you. All of a sudden the enrollment deadline has passed and you can no longer get in, and you've just made that opportunity to kind of do something different in your business and start to create the business that you want, the business that you can really see. So I just want to encourage you to actually make a choice, a clear choice, whether that's a yes or no, and get started, get started doing something. So before I go, I do want to share with you one of my favorite quotes, and it's by Henry David Thoreau, and it kind of resounds with what I've been talking about today. So he says that one is not born into the world to do everything, but to do something. And if there's something that I want to leave you with in this presentation, it's actually two things. One is it's not the action you take in your business, but it's the clarity and the strategy that gives that action meaning and transforms that action into results. The other is to really focus on the right things first, to put first things first, so the action that you really see comes to something. All right? So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been a real pleasure to give you this content, to kind of give you this knowledge and to pass it on to you. So I'd be thrilled if you join me in Message to Money. I'd be thrilled to hear more about you and your business. And I'm really excited to all of the people who've joined. You're really taking a bold step in your business. And I want you to encourage you to really keep taking that bold step, to keep whatever that $2 million book deal is for you, to keep moving towards that goal. Because you can have it if you get the strategy down, if you get the words down, the brand, the positioning, the message, and you really do the right actions from this point on. So thanks again, and go out there and live your message. Bye.
The